urban social commentator, urban blogger, but he's all of the above. He is a YouTube professional, and Mr. Chig Smooth has entered the meeting. He has entered the chat. How are you doing today?
Wow, you are just gassing me, Lisa. Appreciate that, though. Appreciate it.
Now, you've been doing this for a minute, though, because I did a little bit of research on you. You said you actually been doing this since 2008. But the channel that we see now, you actually started in 2012. Like, you rebranded, you came back, you were like, I got to do something different. What brought you in, for those that don't know, into blogging? Like, what made you say, you know what, I want to be a social commentator, or I want a YouTube page? What made you start doing this?
So I've actually been into blogging probably since like 2009, 2010. There's a YouTuber that I used to watch. His name is Deadly X. He stopped doing YouTube, but he was sort of my inspiration. He would just come on and, whatever viral topic was going on at the time, he would talk about and sort of add kind of a funny aspect to it. And that kind of motivated me and said, yo, I can do that. So ever since then, my first channel started in like '08. And I was sort of doing like parodies and stuff like that. But then I started shifted, which is what I was doing on the second channel, talking about different topics that was going on. So that was basically what got me into it, just by watching other creators kind of do it. And I was like, hey, I really enjoy talking about these same things. And I feel like I can do it or even better.
So what was there, because I know you went to college too. What was were you in mass comm?
No, social work.
Okay. Well, that's a big shift.
Social work.
Like, once you started doing this, because this is not necessarily an easy thing to do. I think that is a misconception, that people think like, hey, you put a YouTube video out and it's just going to automatically, it's going to pop off. Mm-hmm. When you started doing this and you just were like doing comedy or the comedy skits, which they do pretty good on YouTube. You said you said so yourself, like you were doing pretty good. Why the shift then? Like, what made you say, you know what, entertainment is just the way to go? Was it more so that you saw more views on it, or was that more so where your passion was?
No, basically those were sort of my two different personalities that I was basically into, right? I had one page where I was basically doing comedy, which is what I like, right? I like to, watch comedy shows, comedy movies, and parodies. I don't know if you were around YouTube at the time, but doing like comedy skits and like parodies were like hot back then. Mm-hmm. So I was also diving into that realm. But then I also have a side of me that also enjoys hip hop, music, social media, whatever was going on in the culture. So I basically made those two channels to sort of, branch out and, have those two different things going on.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, in being in the YouTube world, because I know in the podcast, I can't speak on the YouTube world because I'm not in the YouTube world.
Right.
But is it truly success in the consistency of just keep doing it? Because it takes a minute to pop off. Like, I don't know if you figured out, it seemed like you did figure out the algorithm. The algorithm likes you, but there's a lot of people who can't figure it out.
Right. No, I mean, it definitely takes a while, right? You do have those people that, they'll get lucky and their first video will be viral, right? It'll be something so random, whether it's somebody like cooking a special kind of dish. It'll get shared on social media because the commentary was like funny, right? So you have those like instances where that happens, and that's amazing. But for a lot of people, it takes a lot of grinding. Like you said, it's very, very tough. You just gotta just be super consistent. That's the number one thing that I learned is you have a lot of people. Basically, there's a lot of audience on YouTube, right? And mm-hmm. depending on your specific niche and whatever topic or content that you want to provide, it's there. But they want to see, all right, can you entertain me all day? Can you entertain me all week? And can you also entertain me all month? So you can't just drop one video and then don't drop another one for like 2-3 months, because fans are going to be like, all right, this guy isn't really consistent. Like, Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain audiences, right? There's maybe 2% of YouTubers that can do that, right? These are
Mm-hmm.
guys that's already built audience, and the audience enjoys what they watch. So whenever they drop, they get a crazy amount of views. But other people that's not lucky, you gotta grind. You gotta consistently put out content, different time, different kind of content, just so that the audience can be entertained and they can know that hey, if I ever want to be entertained or be kept up to date with a certain topic, I can go to this guy's channel and I can watch exactly what I want to watch.
Okay. Now let me I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah.
So the YouTube, are you doing this full time now, or are you still kind of doing it part time and then you're gonna move into a full time lane?
That's a great question. Because everyone always says like, "Yo, Chigs, like how do you put out this many videos in like one day?" No, I'm sort of doing this full time, but I still have like a full time 9 to 5 job. So
Okay.
yeah, so
Are you a social worker?
no, no, no. I work in tech.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Got you.
yeah.
Got you.
Used to be a social worker previously, but switched careers sort of about 5 years ago. But yeah, no, I actually have a full time job that I work every single day, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that scare your that you might do this full time? Like this might be your gig. Does that scare your parents into like, no, you can't do this?
That's funny. They actually don't even know. I don't think that they know that I do YouTube. Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah, they
Okay.
actually don't know. I mean, they don't really care about, I guess, your profession unless you're making money, right? So as long as you're not being a bum, you're not just sitting around. If you're being productive, they're not really gonna care too much what your career is. They just want to make sure that you make enough to take care of them and also
Okay.
take care of yourself.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you because you are from Jersey, and the way that I found you was this whole Joe Budden debacle.
Hmm.
Because your video started to pop up. Was that what made you really start to kind of like take take off, or do you know Joe? Because it seems like you and like academics had like this insight, but like behind what was happening with the whole podcast thing, or just was it you just paying a lot of attention?
Um, Let me answer your first question. I think I don't know, because people come to my channel for different things because I don't just do Joe Budden content. I do other
Mm-hmm.
things, right? So people may come to my channel for like clubhouse clips that I'll post, or if it's academics clips, or my commentary that I'll post. So it's different things. I guess it's a combination of those three things that sort of got me a little bit of subscribers and popularity or whatever the case is. And your second question, no, I do not know Joe Budden, but
Okay.
we've gotten acquainted with each other over the last 2 weeks. I've popped into his live and he's like shouted me out, and he's bantered a little bit with me, so he knows of me, knows of my channel, and knows of my content. But personally, we don't have kind of that relationship. I was just a fan who basically, just like YouTubers, you basically make a video, state a very informed opinion, right? You got to do a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of research, you got to be informed, right? You can't just listen to like one episode and then try to make a video, right? I've been listening to Joe's podcast since probably 2016. So I kind of knew what was going on. And then as things started to unfold, I would then talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, okay, he's from Jersey. Joe is from Jersey. I wasn't, because I know you're a lot younger than Joe, though. So I was
Yeah,
like, I know you didn't grow up together, but I was like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of a connection there, because I was going to say you got some insight for us about what is going down, like coming down the pipeway. But yeah, he did shout you out, which I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Speaking of also being shouted out, Van Latham
Yeah,
shouted
shout
you
out
out
Van. Shout
recently.
out Van. He's a real cool guy.
as well, which is awesome. What do you think is the turning point? Because at one point, celebrities were like they didn't really care about the blogs, they didn't really take them seriously, and now blogs are the media. You want to pop off, you want to be in the blogs, you want to be on the Shade Room, you want Vlad, you want all of that. What do you think changed it where they started embracing blogs and commentators?
I think that most of the older guys that's in media, not like super old, but late 30s, late 40s, they start to kind of realize that some of these younger bloggers are actually the ones that are in tune with the culture, right?
Okay.
They know what's going on. They know what kids are sort of watching and paying mind to, right? So those guys will basically see, all right, who are these bloggers, who are these next bloggers, and that's when they'll maybe find my channel, other channels as well on YouTube that also do sort of the same content.
Okay.
um so yeah, and it's kind of dope that they're showing love because it wasn't like that before. Some of these older guys, they used to be, I guess, jealous of like the next person that's coming up, which would be super weird, because you would think that they would want to show love and sort of, give them some sort of shine, right? So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I just think it's dope that they're actually, watching what's going on because there's going to be a new wave of media guys and media personalities coming up. And I think some of these guys want to sort of be in tune with who those people are.
Do you think that the media platforms, the big ones, are getting it wrong? Like, your Revolts, your MTVs, that they're not pulling a lot of these younger bloggers. They're not pulling them to be on the shows. Like, we're getting, like, Charlemagne, shout Charlemagne all the way out. I respect
Sure.
Charlemagne, but he's getting a talk show instead of like going to some of these other platforms. Do you think they're getting it wrong?
I don't think that they're getting it wrong. I think it's just more so they don't really. Sometimes they may not know what's really going on. Shout out to Charlemagne. He's actually one of the few media guys that will reach back down and pull up some of the new guys. He had a show a couple years back where he was basically reaching out to social media personalities to basically trying to find the next creator or whatever that'll pop up. So it's not really a matter of them getting it wrong. Sometimes they just don't know. They don't know what's really going on because they have so much going on at their level where they just, I guess, not really looking out for who these next people are.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Would you do a show, like would you move away from YouTube? Because I know a lot of YouTubers are like, no, I want to own my own content. I
Mhm.
don't want anybody else to own it. Would you, if somebody reached out to say, hey, we'll buy your rights or whatever?
No, no. I would probably never leave YouTube because those are the people that support you from day one. Because I would definitely work with any kind of network to make any kind of commentary show or whatever the case is, but I would never leave YouTube because that's sort of
Okay.
my foundation, right? Those are the subscribers that follow you. They've been in touch with you from like day one. These guys are the ones that's going to be there when those big corporations lay you off. You can't just come back crawling back to them, right? So it's very, very important to sort of stay grounded to your foundation. You can obviously branch out, and
Hmm.
do certain things and work for different kind of media companies. Again, I would love to work for any kind of companies, but I'm never leaving YouTube. There's way too much freedom on there. There's way too much growth support. I don't like to be censored in my kind of content that I do. So
Okay.
yeah, that's just not something that I would probably never do.
Yeah, I could see you on a everyday struggle 2.0. Like if they recreated it to do something different, like a different version of that, I could see you
Mhm.
doing a commentated like show like that.
That'd be
I
dope.
could I
Mhm.
could definitely see it. I mean, you can still do YouTube, but I mean, maybe one day, perhaps. Now, YouTube is also it can be cutthroat. A
Yeah.
lot of the creators, when you see somebody who takes your content or does something, do you do you reach out like, hey, that's mine, like you taking my stuff and you like reusing it? Because you know, a lot of times in the blog world they will take other people's stuff and they don't always give credit. Has that happened to you?
Oh yeah, of course, plenty of times. I'll like do certain reposts, and the game and the blog word is who's going to be the first to sort of post it, and then everyone else follows. You know, I'm sure that's something that you're seeing is that you post something and then you see another site post it, and you're looking like, wait, you kind of posted it because I posted it, and you saw that this was getting traction, so now you posted it. And then as far as different content, when I would get like Clubhouse clips, I would see channels take it. I don't really care, but as long as you just say, "Yo, I got it from this channel," that's fine. Just like giving credit, that's fine. And that's something that some of these bloggers don't really get yet, which is fine, because that's the game. That's the YouTube game. Everyone sort of takes everyone's videos and makes it as their own. But for me, I always try to give credit. I don't like to take people's clips or videos or whatever the case is. But when I do, I make sure that I give credit, because why not? It's only gonna make that person feel good, saying, "Hey, this person watched my video and give me a shout out." But just blatantly taking people's things and and not really giving credit, that's not okay. But that's the game. When you're blogging, you should know that 1,000 other channels are going to sort of take your same content. Even if that's not really what their channel is based on, people just like to see numbers. If they see that one video is spiking up, we can take Whack, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much any of his Clubhouse clips are going viral. I was pretty much one of the only channels that was really posting Whack on
You
Clubhouse.
were first, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because like people really didn't know Whack and didn't know how funny and entertaining and sort of global he can be. Whack says a lot of funny things. He can also be very serious. He's
Mm-hmm.
very, very polarizing, right? So people are hanging on to see what he's gonna say next. And I knew this early on, which is why I would post them, you know. But now you're starting to see a million other channels post Whack, which is fine, but that's just blogging, if you're
Have
the
you ever
first
had
to do
anybody
certain
reach
things.
out to you like take that down? Like take Wack for example. He sees that you put it up there, you were first, and he like comes at your neck. Have you had that yet where somebody is like, take it down? I'm ceasing desisting you and all of that. You've not had that?
No, no. So Wack knows that pretty much anytime he gets on Clubhouse, he knows that people are gonna sort of record it and put it out. Academics takes a lot of Wack's clips, sometimes even before I post them. So no, like people know that if they're like on Clubhouse, that it's probably gonna be recorded and probably gonna go out there. So they try not to say anything too bad. But no, no one has really asked me to like. Oh, actually, there was something that I posted. Now that I think about it, there was something that I posted. Let me just give you a hint, right? It was basically
Okay.
Whack saying that the wife of an ex football player slept with Ray J.
Okay.
Um,
That seems plausible. I mean,
yeah,
allegedly, but it seems plausible.
it was such a funny story, right? And I posted this at like midnight, right? Went to bed, and then around, because I wake up super, super early. Around 5:30 in the morning, I'm up, check my emails. I see that the same person that was talked about emailed me and was like, "Hey, do you mind taking this down? I don't know who Whack is. This is a false story. Please take this down." So that was probably the first and only time that has ever happened. And I was like, all right, since I don't really have any proof that you did this, and this is
Mhm.
kind of like the first time that this has happened, I don't want to, ruin anything that you have going on currently. So I just took it down.
So you didn't want to go the Tasha K route because
Nah.
she has gotten in, like I know, especially with Cardi B and
Yeah.
a lot of the other people. So you kind of have to tread lightly. That's why when people say like they think that YouTube is an easy thing, I was like, no, you have to navigate
Yeah,
copyright law, you
yeah.
have to know how to edit and what content to actually put out there. Now, I want to just kind of ask you, would you do podcasting? Because blogging and social commentary is similar. It is very similar to podcasting.
Mhm.
Would you do it?
Um, it would have to be with the right co-host and centered around the right topic, right? Because nowadays, you and I know that everyone has a podcast because everyone feels like they have a voice and they can talk about certain things. But podcasting is a lot. You have to sit there for about an hour to 2 hours, basically dissecting a certain topic and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that it's packaged in a very entertaining fashion for fans. And you have to make sure that you do that once or twice a week for pretty much 2 3 years, whatever the case is, right? So podcasting can be good. It can also be bad because people can see, oh wait, this guy is kind of boring, he doesn't have anything compelling to say. So it would have to be with the right co-host because I think that's what really makes it fun. If you're able to just trade off each other jokes or different things like that. But
You
I would
had on
definitely
your
dabble
live
a little
though.
bit. Huh?
I went to a live. I was actually on one of your lives.
Yeah.
It was with the Joe Budden
Yes.
situation. I was there. The guy with you, I don't remember who what his name was. I think that would be pretty dope. That would be
That's
a
my guy
dope
Chris.
pairing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my guy Chris. Yeah. Shout out Chris. Yeah, he's a really good host, co-host. But I don't know if he's into like the media things. Chris does a lot of
Okay.
things behind the scenes. He's actually filming a show that's gonna be on my channel. So yeah, no, I don't know. It would have to be with two people with the right mindset to really make it work. Because I've seen podcasts start up and 2 3 episodes and they're done.
That's the average. The average lasts about 2 to 3
Yeah,
episodes,
yeah, it's
and
hard.
it's like it. Jesus, I know. It's like it's not
Have you
an
tried it?
easy with a co. Well, I was on another podcast that had co-hosts, and again, that's what starts happening. People
Right.
start, oh, I want to sit over here in the chair number one, and then it starts. You start to see the egos, and everybody starts to clash.
Yeah.
But I think that podcasting is still booming. I think it's one of those things where you got to strike lightning in a bottle, which is
Yeah.
hard to do. Everybody not going to be Joe Rogan, what
Hmm.
Joe Budden, who I call the king of the black pods. Joe
Yeah.
Rogan is the king of the podcast.
Hmm.
Joe Budden is the king of the black podcast. But that YouTube is something different though, because I talked to Glozell, so I know that YouTube money is deep, and
Yeah.
it tends
Yeah.
to come a lot quicker if you know how to do it right. Uh, What would you give? What advice would you give to a newer podcaster that is just getting started and going into such a saturated lane as music? Because you used to do like music reviews, entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment in the black, I think YouTube space is really competitive. What would you tell them? What advice would you give?
Number one, I would say just make sure that you're passionate about it,
Okay.
right? That's off the rip, the number one thing. If it's not in your heart, if you're doing it because you feel like you can get a certain amount of money from it, it's not gonna happen, right? People can tell when someone is passionate about something, whether that's information, sports, education, that you want to teach people something. You have to be passionate. If not, it's not going to work. Entertainment and content creation is not for everybody, right? You may look at the money, the lifestyle, and think, okay, let me just get into this because it's gonna pay me this. It's not gonna happen. So that's number one. Number two is consistency, right? You have to make sure that no matter what you do, you have to keep on doing it. You can't stop. You can't get lazy. You have to keep putting out content constantly. And then third, just make sure that you're having fun with it. Make sure that it's something that you're going to look back on and say, this was fun, because fans can tell if you don't want to do something. It can translate through body language, through audio, video, whatever the case is. So those would be my three different advice that I would give.
And that's some great advice. It's sound advice. And I think it actually goes across spectrums. The same thing could be said about podcasting or anything you do
Yeah,
in
for
life,
sure.
really.
Mhm.
But for those of that may be being introduced to you, how can they follow you on YouTube or and on social media? And if you have like a website or like a book or anything that's coming out.
Sure. You can follow me on YouTube. Just type in Chig Smooth. Subscribe to my channel and make sure that you hit that notification bell. It lets you know when I upload. I do have an Instagram. It's Chig Smooth. You can follow me there, but I don't have content on there yet. I'm still sorting out what I want to do with that page. If I want to make it a blog page, but it's where subscribers can basically message me directly. If they want to ask me for like promo, which I would say email me, but people will write me there, or if they want to ask me questions or different things like that. So those are the two platforms that I'm on. I'm getting a Discord channel soon.
I heard that
Hopefully
on
within
a
the next
podcast you
week.
were talking about that. Somebody was
Yeah,
trying to convince you. Okay.
yeah. Oh wow,
I
you are
stalk a little
into it,
bit.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been thinking about getting on Discord to sort of find a way to directly talk to people that really rock with me. I just haven't had the time, but I think this week I'm gonna have that sorted out. So yeah, YouTube and Instagram, Chig Smooth.
Okay, awesome. And before I let you go, because I said 30 and I'm gonna hold myself to 30. You said you were a comedy guy. Who is your top three?
Top three, I'd go number one for sure, Kevin Hart. Number
Okay.
two, I gotta go with the GOAT, Dave Chappelle. Number
Okay.
three, I would put Eddie Murphy there because I grew up watching him, and he's a really good comedian. But Kevin Hart is my number one, and I know some fans may disagree with that. That's fine, but he's just pretty much anything he says to me is funny. I like his work ethic, and yeah, he's for me personally, from my generation, I'd put him at number one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna ask you why. I was like, okay, I mean, everybody's is entitled to their own
What's your
opinion,
top three?
even if you don't agree. My favorite comedian of all time is Chris Rock.
Chris
Then
Rock.
I have Dave Chappelle. And then rounding off the number three is probably going to be DL Hughley. I'm more of a
Yeah.
political comedy kind of
Okay.
girl.
All right. That
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
like somebody that's going to tell me a story and bring me with. But I love stand-up comedy. Like I am a stand-up comedy connoisseur. I will
Mhm.
watch any stand-up, even the newer people, which I think now we're seeing like a change. A lot of the
Mhm.
YouTubers are the new comedians. We're not getting a lot of that stand up anymore. It's the opposite. You're a YouTuber first or Insta on social media, and then you are a stand up comedian. So we'll see how this turns out. But I think it's some really good ones like Ryan Davis and Desi who are
Ryan
coming
Davis
up
is
that
good.
are
Yeah.
really, really funny. So I'm looking forward to it. And maybe you said you might do.
No.
Perhaps. I don't know. Perhaps. Maybe we get some comedy out of it. I
Hey,
don't know.
listen.
We'll see.
If Comedy Central wants to throw me a huge bag to get on there, get on stage, tell some lame jokes for about an hour, I would gladly accept that bag.
See,
Other than
Comedy
that,
Central,
no.
call him. Call him. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for coming to Millennials Anonymous, even though you are technically probably not a millennial. You're probably Generation Z, but that's okay. All is welcome.
No, I am. I'm 28.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah, you see, he made
Do
the
I look
cutoff. He
younger?
is a millennial. You do look younger.
Okay, for
You
sure.
do, which is not a bad thing. That's a
No,
good thing. That's a really, really good thing. Was black don't crack. It really don't. But I
facts.
appreciate you for coming through to Millennials Anonymous. You can come back anytime. And once you blow up and you on all the shows and you got all the talk shows and stuff, you definitely got to come back.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. I think you guys have a really great platform, and it's good. I'm not sure if this is the only platform that actually highlights, millennials that's actually doing stuff. But this is the first one that I've seen, and keep it up. You guys are definitely going somewhere. This is very
Thank,
much needed for sure.
thank you so much.